Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Kah Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah HaKwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the mind, wide mouth, that's in sincerity and truth. It's the brother Yatazak, Great Millstone, Dallas, and I just want to add my contribution to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, going into the commentaries, to get into the mind of these Edomites, you see. And I'm on my lunch break, so I'm going to try to make it quick. But what I want to do is I want to get into the commentary of Obadiah. You know what I'm saying? One thing I noticed as you go through the commentaries, you see how when it comes to the Edomites and them trying to interpret the scriptures, they're better at putting the history together the way they put it together for us to be able to pick it apart. You see what I'm saying? So the Edomites, when they use the scriptures, they go into history because they have the records. So they can manipulate this and manipulate that, right? But the problem is the gift of prophecy was given to us. You see, they can only deal with the past because they can manipulate the past, but they can't manipulate the future. You see, and one thing you notice as you've been watching the videos, if you've been catching the apostles going into their commentaries, you see when it comes to the history, the things that we can go search out for ourselves, do our research on, and then we can use the scriptures to validate whether or not they telling the truth, right? Because the Lord is supping with the prophets. He said the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, right? So when you go into these future prophecies, like the reason why I wanted to go in on Obadiah, because it goes into the destruction of Edom, you know what I'm saying? Through thermonuclear destruction. You see, when we read it and break it down, we letting you know how Esau went into space and how that was an indicator that he wanted to be the Most High, and you know what I'm saying? Then it talks about the destruction of Edom. Now, when you go into the commentary, that's what I'm saying. When you go into the commentaries and they get on the history, they can pull things. They can do things. But when it comes to prophecy, that's not given to them. That's why they look foolish in these commentaries concerning certain things, right? Now, I say all that to say this. The example that I want to use is Obadiah, because when we read the book of Obadiah, the way we break it down, and then I'm going to read to you there. This is the Bridgeway commentary in the Masor app, right? So, it says, hold on, let me move this. Yeah. It says, I'm going to start at the top of the commentary, and what I want to do is I want to go through this commentary, and you're going to notice how when it's talking about past events, they give you precepts and how you can go back into the scriptures and read it they tell you exactly where to go, right? But then when it comes to these future prophecies, they guessing. They don't know. But what they don't realize is we've been given the spirit to break these things down and interpret them to bring them out to the masses, right? And because it doesn't align with what they think it could be, no, we're telling you what it is. They guessing. So having the Lord to sup with you is the difference, right? You have to understand through the spirit how to read this book. You see? Because Esau only going to put out what he think he can prove or manipulate. You see? And he not dealing with truth. We are. So these same scriptures that we using are giving us the skinny on what's actually taking place. And now they are discombobulated and confused. Right? Now it says the book of Obadiah belongs to the period that followed Jerusalem's final collapse and ultimate destruction by the Babylonians in 587 BC. Right? Now what we do, you always heard the apostles and elders talking about when you go into this information, it has to link up with the scriptures, right? So what you do is you chew up the meat, you eat up the meat, and you spit out the bones, right? Because the bones can choke you. You can get confused, right? So what you want to do is link these things with the scriptures. You see, all this documented history along with the scriptures is what the prophets are utilizing to bring forth the Lord's will, right? To let everybody know, to prophesy, right? It says, nothing is known of Obadiah's ministry apart from what is contained in the short book that bears his name, though he must have been one of the few genuine prophets left in Judah at the time of its overthrow and captivity. His book is concerned with the Most High's judgment on the nation of Edom, right? Now, they like to tell you that the Edomites were done away with and all these different things. in these commentaries. Now I'm going to continue to read this commentary. Y'all just follow along. It's going to be a trip. It's the spirit that the Yahweh Shem Yahushai put on the apostles and elders to go into these commentaries, man. You know what I'm saying? To see that they don't know what they're talking about, even though we reading the same book, right? It says, when the armies of Babylon finally broke through the walls of Jerusalem and destroyed the city, the Edomites joined in, taking wicked delight in helping to wipe out the last traces of the ancient Israelite nation, right? Going all the way back to the time of Cain and Abel. They were trying to establish that, right? Then they give you the precepts, right? Psalms 137:7, right? Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof, right? They give you the precepts. You see how they give you the precepts? They telling you where to go because they going back into the past. You see? Now, they telling you all this information, but they can't tell you when the Edomites were actually done away with, right? Now, you catch Ezekiel. You get Ezekiel, right? Ezekiel 35:1-5. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee. I will stretch out mine hand against thee. I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time their iniquity had an end. You see? So it's telling you why, right? They pulling the precepts. You see what I'm saying? But you see how the Lord set it up for them, for their tongues to fall upon themselves, and that comes in the way of writing too. You see? They come with these commentaries to break these things down, but it's our job to correct it and make it all right. You see? Because they leave out things, right? They'll tell you that Edom is going to be burned, but the prophets are going to tell you how they're going to be burned. That's going to be with thermonuclear destruction. You see? It says, the prophet Obadiah, writing sometime later, announced that the Most High's judgment on Edom for acting with such hostility against its brother nation, whom it should rather have helped. The nation of Israel was descended from Jacob, right? The nation of Edom from Jacob. I'm a little excited. Let me slow down. It says the nation Israel was descended from Jacob, the nation Edom from Jacob's brother Esau, right? And it goes back into Genesis and it gives you the account, right? It says for examples of the hatred that existed first between the two brothers and later between the two nations, right? Because when you go back to Genesis, it tells you the two nations were in Rebekah's womb. You see? So Esau confirmed that, right? But when we say it, we out of bounds. You see? But we're going to continue to use their commentary. We're going to continue to use their commentary, and we're going to show them what they got right, and we're going to show them what they got wrong. Okay? It says two nations came from those two men, right? It said Edom was situated south of Judah between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba, the northeastern arm of the Red Sea, right? It says it was a land of rugged mountains that provided it with strong defenses against the enemy attacks. Chief among its mountains was Mount Seir, after which the nation was sometimes called. So it's letting you know that Esau later became Edom. You can refer to him as Mount Seir. You see? Basra and all these other different places that are attached to them, man. Okay? And it's giving you the precepts for it. Because that's what I'm saying. When it comes to the past, they got a little something. You see? But it's the future that they struggle with. It's the future that they wrestle with. Right? Because they're not the prophets of the Heavenly Father, man. It says the chief towns of Edom were Petra, Basra, Teman, the inland regions of Ezion-Geber, and the Gulf of Aqaba. The Edomites, particularly those from the district of Teman, were famous for their wisdom and cunning, right? They are Teman, and the Dan shall fall by the sword. You know what I'm saying? The Teman, that goes into the ones that created the smith that bloweth in the coals, right? Right? Teman, those was the ones that came. The Lord put the spirit on the Temanites, which is Edomites, to come up with this whole thermonuclear destruction bit. You see? He gave them that, right? It says, but no amount of cleverness. Hold on. It says the Edomites, particularly those from the district of Teman, were famous for their wisdom and cunning. And it gives you the precepts for that. So if y'all can see the precepts, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and lock in. It says, but no amount of cleverness would deliver them from the impending judgment of the Most High. So they'll admit that the Edomites was going to be judged by the Most High, right? It says, as Obadiah predicted, the nation of Edom was subsequently destroyed and its land devastated by the enemy invasions, right? It says the nation was subsequently destroyed. See, that's what I'm saying. They wasn't all the way destroyed, man. No. Right? Matter of fact, let's get that word subsequently. Yeah, let's get that. Yeah. Let's get that. We ain't gonna play no games. We're gonna use what I'm saying, we're gonna use it against them. Alright? Subsequently. Alright? After a particular thing has happened afterward. Right? Mel's offhand remarks subsequently became their rallying cry. Alright? Alright, let's go back. Alright, cool. Now, Obadiah's message. You see? Now, it's getting into Obadiah. So it's gonna go verses 1 through 14. Right? It says this is his comment. This is the commentary on Edom, on Obadiah's message. Right? It says the Edomites thought their land was unconquerable because the defense system that they had built throughout their Rocky Mountains. Obadiah warns them that no matter how high up the mountains they go, or how strong they make their defenses, nothing will save them from the coming destruction. Already the enemy armies are preparing to attack Edom. Right? That's what the first 4 verses is talking about. Right? It says a burglar steals only what he wants and leaves a remainder of the goods in his house. A vineyard, a worker picks the grapes that are ripe and leaves the rest. But when the enemy soldiers plunder Edom, they will take everything. You see how this is him breaking it down, right? This is him breaking it down. It says they will seize even the treasures that the Edomites have hidden in the caves in the mountains. Edom prided itself in its political skill and military strategy. Its leaders thought they were cleverer than the leaders of the neighboring nations and often used their cunning to cheat their allies. Right? Sound familiar? That's what I'm saying. That's still going on today because that's those same people. What I'm saying, they ain't gone. You know what I'm saying? The Lord set them up to be here for a certain time. And Obadiah goes into the destruction of the Edomites. It's a future prophecy. You see? They hadn't set their nest among the stars back then during the time of Obadiah. You see? They hadn't, the thermonuclear destruction hadn't, the missiles, the ICBM missiles. You see? All that hadn't happened. In Isaiah, it talks about how this war is going to be fought with burning and fuel of fire. When had that happened? You see? So Obadiah is talking about the future. All right? It says their shame and defeat will therefore be the greater when they discover that some of these neighboring nations who they thought were trusted allies have betrayed them and helped bring them their downfall. You see? So it's going into the downfall of Edom, but it's going into the downfall during that point in time. You see? This is a future prophecy. Edom done went down because the scripture said that they was going to go down. You know what I'm saying? You got the pagan Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? You had the time what Haman was in rulership. You know what I'm saying? You got Agag. That's what I'm saying. It was all, they've always been here, man. And they always opposed the Israelites. You see? So why would it be Israelites here now and no Edomites? Where did all these people go? The scripture tell you that it ain't no ending of the people, man, until the Lord say so. You see? These people keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back until the Lord's will is going to be fulfilled, man. You see? And look at that. And when it comes to these commentaries, the commentaries can only do so much. They can go into the history, but they can't go into the future because prophecy wasn't given to them. Right? It says Obadiah gives the reason why the Most High will punish Edom so severely. When the Babylonian army is attacked and plundered Jerusalem, Edom did nothing to help its brother nation. Rather the opposite. It gladly helped them, the attackers. the Edomites were glad to see Jerusalem plundered and even joined the plundering. Worse than that, they helped the Babylonians capture Jerusalemites by cutting off the escape route to those that was trying to flee. And that actually happened, you see. So Obadiah was telling them, you're going to be judged for what you did back then, right? To this day, they still hold that sentiment. When you get into Ezekiel chapter 35, you see. So during the time of the Babylonians taking us down, that already happened, right? That already happened. But those same Edomites, they still around today, man. They still around today. Now it's going to get into the judgment. You see? It says the day of the Lord, right? Verses 15 through 21. Now, when we break this down as that thermonuclear destruction. The Lord giving spiritual power to both kingdoms, the northern and the southern. You see what I'm saying? Israel uniting and putting and beating the brakes off Edom, as the scriptures say. Right? It says, in the day of the Lord God, in the day of the Lord, the Most High will intervene in human affairs and punish sinners according to their sins. The Edomites celebrated their plunder of Jerusalem by holding wild drinking parties and among the ruins of the temple in Mount Zion. They as well as Jerusalem, other enemies, will now be drunk in a different way. You see? You see that? It says they will drink the cup of the Most High's wrath. You see? So they equating it, they breaking it down. You see? Okay. If you can break it down to this extent, to where you know that all the celebrating that they did over the Israelites, that now they gonna pay, now they gonna be drunk with the Lord's fury, just like the scriptures say, how is all that negated all of a sudden? You see? How is that all of a sudden negated? So they let you know that they understand, man. So they only gonna give you what they allowed to give you. It's on us to put the puzzle pieces together. It's on us to actually break down the scriptures. You see? But where they err, we correct it. You see? It says, God's wrath until unable to stand any longer, they will stagger and fall. You see? They going to stagger and fall. No. The Lord is going to completely destroy them. That's what that's talking about. You see? The Lord is going to bring the nation of Israel back together. And after Esau, Edom, fulfills his judgment, they're going to be made, they're going to be burned. They're going to be made stubble. Right? That's what it's talking about. You see? It says, having punished Jerusalem's enemies, God will release his people from captivity and bring them back to their homeland. He will restore holiness to Mount Zion, but send a fitting judgment upon Edom. Okay, what's that fitting judgment? To be wiped off the planet, man. Right? It says he will destroy as a fire burns up a field of dry grass. He gonna destroy them just like, that's what I'm saying. All this grass that's in front of me, if all this grass was burnt up and completely destroyed, that's what's gonna happen to the nation of Edom. You see? That's what's gonna happen to the nation of Edom. So now what we want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull Obadiah and read it all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I got enough time. But I'm just gonna run through it and I'm gonna break it down the way the Lord gave to the prophets. Right? See, they unsure, they guessing. Right? Now, this is Obadiah 1:1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Right? Going into all the so-called allies, and it will say the whole nation, everybody gonna rise up against Edom, man, because they done too much. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Right? Esau so proud, he done gave all the nations nuclear capability. You know what I'm saying? Because he got a plan. Well, the Lord got a plan. You see? The Edomites are in the ultimate trick bag, man. The Lord, the scripture says that the deceiver and the deceived are his. You see? He even holding on to the wicked for the day of destruction. The day of destruction is going to be for a certain time. What's going to happen after the day of destruction? That's for another day. Right? Here we go. It says, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? You see, going into that pride. You see, dwellest in the clefts of the rock, Caucasians, meaning cave dweller. You see, the scriptures let you know who this dude is. Job chapter 30 goes into the Edomites, right? This is going into their destruction, man. It's working. It's going into all the things that they did to work up this judgment that the Lord set for them before they was even created, man. You see, he was set up to do a certain thing. Once that thing is done, it is what it is. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, right? You know how proud this devil is with his eagle, you know. You know how proud this devil is with his eagle. It represented Rome, it represents America. Put it together, you see. It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, which is space stations. The reason why they put those space stations up there is because they want to be able to look down, because this is a bootleg version of being the Most High. You see, they have a warped God complex, and they want to try to be able to do the things that the Lord do, but they only have limited resources, right? But they proud with the limited resources that they've been given. All right. It says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? How they have not stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the things Esau searched out? He goes into the history. He has the records. He puts out what he wants to put out. We chew up the meat. We spit out the bones. We put it together with the scriptures, and we prophesy. That's how it works, right? The Spirit of the Lord is dealing with the men of the Lord to comb through these scriptures and to dive back into this history and pick out these lies and tell everybody what they lying about and tell everybody what their judgment is going to be for the said lies. Right? It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. You see? And that's going into the nations that Esau have had as allies, that they've been stabbing in the back and messing over and all these different things, because Esau's wicked, man. So what he's done is he's burned all these bridges and built up all this bad will, and the nations are mad, man. The scriptures is prophesied that they're gonna shoot flames on the whore, man. They're gonna burn this whore, right? With fire. Verse 8, it says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, right? The Temanites, right? It says the smith that bloweth the coals, right? Going into the creation of the nuclear missiles, right? He put the spirit on Edom to do that, right? It says, and the mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed at the end, that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So it's telling them why. You see, it's telling them what he did. It's telling them why. It's telling them what's going to happen. You see, it says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So for what you did to your brothers, you're going to be destroyed forever, man. I'm going to have to do away with you. It says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives, his forces, going into when we were taken away by the Babylonians, and y'all didn't help. Y'all wouldn't let us pass. We even offered to pay you to let us pass through. We won't drink none of your water. We won't deal with none of your stuff. We'll pay your tribute just so we can go through this land, because the Babylonians chasing us. And you was like, F that. Absolutely not. If you come through this land, we're going to kill y'all. Right? That's how you handled it. That's how you handled it. And this is what the Lord is talking about. Right? This is in the past. It's going to trickle up to the future, man. Right? Because Edom haven't been done away with. This is just talking about that one account. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is for prophecy. You see? Because the prophecies is going into the destruction of Edom and the judgment of Edom. And that's the book that Obadiah wrote. They still here. You see? It says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive, his forces, and the foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother. It said you shouldn't even looked. You know what I'm saying? But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. That's what I'm saying. It's going down a list of all that you did. You see? It's going down your list. It says, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. You see? When it was time for you to help your brother, you didn't. You see? You just continue to just grind and grind and grind in hopes that you could get rid of Jacob, just like Esau wanted to. In hopes that you can get rid of the righteous line like Cain tried to. Right? Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. You took full advantage of us at our lowest point, man. You see? And it's been like that, man. It's been like that. It was set up like that before y'all was in the womb, man. And even in their commentary, they admitted that it started from two brothers and ended up being two nations, right? For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. That's what I'm saying. So when we say you're gonna get paid back double, when we say Second Thessalonians, it's a righteous thing to the Most High to recompense those that trouble you, man. It is what it is, right? It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, and thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Going into that cup of judgment, man. You see? Going into that righteous judgment. It says, but Mount Zion shall be deliverance, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, letting you know that the Lord he's opening it up back for us, man. You see? It says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Right? Coming back into our inheritance. It says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. See, they didn't mention none of that. They didn't have no breakdown for that in the commentary on the My Sword app. You see? But we telling you through the Spirit what that's actually going into. Right? The house of Joseph being a flame, the house of Judah being a fire, that's going into the nation being woken back up. You know what I'm saying? Pursuant to Ezekiel 37 in the dry bones. You know what I'm saying? Coming back together through the Spirit. All right? It says, the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall be none remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. And the Edomites are still here. Right? Look at the state of the earth. Go into the prophecies. You see? They only guessing. We telling you what it actually is. It says, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. Right? Possess the mount of Esau. The people going to be gone. So how are we going to possess the mount of Esau? It's that land that he was talking about in the commentary that's south of Israel and all the surrounding area. You see, they get certain things right. They can only go so far, but it's the prophet's job to push these prophecies home, man. To push these scriptures home, to actually break them down. Apostle Elder Aram Live did a video on that. You see, breaking the scriptures home, making the understanding plain upon the tables, man. That's our job. You see, that's how it go, man. That's how it go. Let me see. All right. Well, yeah, that was the point I wanted to make. You see, they can carnally go into the scriptures, go into the history, and come up with enough information for us to be able to spiritually dissect this same information. Okay, it's talking about this. This is what the scripture's going into. That's what I'm saying. We've been given the spirit. They've been given the carnal aspect of it. And the difference between the carnal man and matter of fact, I'm just going to get it. Let me see. Carnally minded. All right. All right. All right. This is Romans 8:6. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death," right? Because they go into the scriptures. The scriptures are not designed to deliver anybody but the Israelites. So when they go into the scriptures and they wrestle, it is what it is. But when we go into the scriptures, we are being built up. We live through the scriptures. They die through the scriptures. Why? Because the scriptures ain't for them. Who is thou to declare my statutes? Right? The Lord said that. Who are you to declare my statutes, Esau? You see? You hate instruction. So a man that hates instruction can't get the truth from the instruction. Right? It says, "For to be carnally minded is death." Esau and the other nations, they carnally minded, man. It says, "But to be spiritually minded is life and peace." You see? When they hear us break down the scriptures, they get mad. When we hear them break down the scriptures, we just go to work. So, call halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rekahak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Mayan Wad Mouth. That's in sincerity and truth. Shalom.